Hi everybody, Pollack here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this week, I'm still in a presidential mood for some reason, so I compiled a presidential ratings and I rated all the presidents up to Trump, and I even include Biden a little bit. And yeah, and by the way, this T. I'm doing this on my computer, and computers technology, so that's where the T falls into Steam. And before you get going, pause this video and make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications so you never miss any of my content, and share this channel so we can get as many subscribers as we can. Thanks. So, for the video, I guess I will be, rating all of the US presidents. So, let me see. So we got some categories right here. S for superior, A, B, C, D, and F. Okay, so that's 6 of these categories. Okay, so the first person we have up is George W. Bush. Let me think. I think he is best to be being put in B because he did do some good things like pass some Medicare reform, but there's everything with the Iraq War, which led to probably some more intrusion into foreign territories than we probably should have. Okay, second we have James Buchanan. I'm gonna have to put him at an F because all he did was just let the Civil War. Well, he was in favor of keeping the Union together, but yet thought he had no constitutional authority to take it apart. Uh, so third, okay, so James Buchanan is an F. Okay, Jimmy Carter, I will say I'll put him at a C. Obviously, he has had a very popular post-presidency, and he's lived well into his 90s, and as of this video, is still alive, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, and so some good things he did were I think he continued to advancing and promoting alternative energy. However, the economy kind of got out of hand, and he ended up dealing with some inflation issues that ultimately led to his defeat by Ronald Reagan. Okay, so fourth we have um Chester A. Arthur. I'm going to put him at a C because he did pass federal job reform, so then people actually had to like demonstrate their competence to work in a job rather than be pointed to a federal work job over just like, oh, you're my friend, so I'll appoint you, like nepotism or any favoritism. Okay, and then he did some other things that weren't like the best either. So yeah, even though I do find his facial hair quite interesting. Okay, so next we have Grover Cleveland. I will say I will also put him at a C because he did he was again, this is a bit more my own personal opinion. He was the first and so far only to date president to serve two non-consecutive terms. So he was voted in his first term, then he was voted out, and then he was reelected over the same person. But then the economy kind of faltered under him, especially in his second term. And then people decided they were done with Democrats. This Democrats of the 1800s. Okay, next we have Bill Clinton. I will be putting him at a B because he did lead the economy good, and he did have a very high approval rating at the end of his presidency. However, reason why he isn't higher is because he obviously has had some personal issues with affairs and is a bit of a sex addict. Next, we have Calvin Coolidge. I will say I'll put him at a C because he was very small government, which is good. However, just seems like whatever he did also contributed towards the market going to crash, since shortly after he left office, the market crashed, and that's what led to the Great Depression. Yep. And so Herbert Hoover, I'll be putting him at a C. A lot like Jimmy Carter, he actually had kind of an active post-presidency retirement. And Jimmy Carter's was just longer than his. And And then with Herbert Hoover, anyway, reason why I'm putting him as C is because the market tanked under him with the Great Depression, and uh, people didn't like him too much for that, and it just led to things being worse. And then yeah, and so William Henry Harrison, I'm uh, I'm putting him at a D because look, I mean, this is what popularly is believed. There's been new theories that have come up, but the way he died, they say, was that he did a 2-hour inaugural address, which is like the longest ever by far. Um, uh, Out in the middle of the cold rain, which is kind of stupid when you ask me. And then he didn't do much other on office since he only survived a month, obviously. Okay, so now we have Dwight D. Eisenhower. I will say he is the first A here. Um, because he did also help with starting to racially integrate the army and schools when it came to the Brown versus Board of Ed, and then he was also uh he was also a very excellent military commander, especially during D-Day and World War II. Next, we have William Howard Taft. I'm gonna put him at a C for this. Okay. Oh no, not a B, a C. He was okay. He wasn't the best. Because tariffs didn't do well under him, and then he had other issues. So next, we have who is this? Oh yes, this is Millard Fillmore. I'm gonna say I'm gonna have to put him at a C. So I can say he married his school teacher again. That back then wasn't weird because the school teacher's like 2 years older than him or something. Uh, but then I can also say that he was a member of a not so good party, the party that was anti-Irish and anti-Catholic. Haha, yes, I'm Catholic, so that kind of automatically puts a bias on it for me. Okay. Next we have Gerald Ford. I'll be putting him at a C. He did do good things with trying to reconcile people with their trust in the government, especially with Nixon resigning. People's trust in the government plummeted to an all-time low. And but then he also pardoned Nixon, which was uh, what's the word? Controversial, just because Nixon was a criminal, and yeah. Okay, so that next we have Ulysses S. Grant. I think I'll probably put him at a B because he was a very respected military commander. However, he did have corruption issues with the government, and led to multiple scandals. Okay. Warren Harding, I'll say I'm putting him at a D because during his term he was good. They say, at least it seemed like on the outside, because he had originally he like this is like post World War II. People like he like advocated for a return to normal, but then also I can say that what he did uh, eventually his economy choices eventually did lead to the Great Depression, and also he did have multiple scandals within his government, and he himself had many personal scandals, including fathering his only child out of wedlock, which is pretty dirty if you ask me. And there's rumor that his wife maybe poisoned him, even though I don't know if that's true. Okay, so Rutherford B. Hayes. Okay. So he was elected under actually no, I'm gonna put him at a C. Uh so Rutherford B. Hayes. He was originally elected. His election had a lot of fraud, literal fraud in it, and eventually it just came down to, I believe, like it came down to like Congress to decide, and obviously no, did not come off very popular to a lot of people. So people were calling him like Ruther Fraud B. Hayes. And so yeah, and then he also did do other good stuff during his term. Okay, Andrew Jackson. Okay, I'm going to put him at D for this. Or no, not C, D. Uh, because D because I guess you could say he was like revolutionary, but also he himself was kind of an idiot, and then he also at and he also against the Supreme Court's wishes which denied him doing this, he went and forcibly relocated the thousands of Native Americans in this whole thing during the early 1800s. That does not come off well to a lot of people, even to this day. Next is Thomas Jefferson. C. Okay, so he was the second two-term president after George Washington. And were people liked him during this thing again, but again, some other negative things. He did own slaves. Well, you can only, I guess, regret so much of that since that was just the custom back then, unfortunately. And then also people and also he fathered children with his slaves. But he also did have some pretty good inventions too. And then, so now I have John Adams. Okay, okay, John Adams. I think I'm gonna have to put him at a C too. A lot of these presidents are just average. Anyways, John Adams. Good thing he did was I believe he kept us from start going all outright war with France in the late 1700s. But he was also kind of a jerk himself, and people didn't like him too much, which led to his defeat at the hands of Thomas Jefferson in the 1800 election. Okay, the next one is Andrew Johnson. I'm gonna be putting him at a D. So Andrew Jackson, Andrew Johnson. Ha ha ha. Mainly just because he left office disgraced because he was the first president to be impeached. Not he was impeached then acquitted. Obviously, like most like all other impeachments up to now have been. Then he then and then and then he himself also like kind of like messed up Reconstruction, which unfortunately has kind of left the South very much in poverty today. Unfortunately, okay. Next we have for C. Next we have JFK. I'm gonna have to put him at a B because he was pretty good with uniting the country and solving the Cuban Missile Crisis and promoting racial integration and eventually the Civil Rights Act and voting rights legislation. But he authorized the failed Bay of Pigs invasion in Cuba, which led to kind of an embarrassment. And then he also had cheated on his wife multiple times because he's that popular male and stuff. Okay. Next we have James A. Garfield. So he was. I'll be putting him at a. Let me just hold him at a D for now. Yeah, I think D is probably good because he only was in office for about like 9 months. Well, 6 months before he was shot, and then he was in office for another 2 months, and then he was died. Which actually was not a result of the shot. It was a result of the doctor's incapability to like know what germs were. But again, that was a thing of the time. So if there had been modern technology, like it would have easily been prevented. Uh, and then yeah, he didn't do much during his term, and he also like had job corruption issues and job hunting, and he was killed by an upset job hunter who didn't get the federal job he wanted. Okay, Lyndon B. Johnson. Okay, okay, come on, thing load. Okay, there we go. Let me just hold him at a C for now. He's definitely not a C. I just have to scroll up the page. Okay, so I think I'm going to be putting him at a B because he himself was not the best person. He was kind of a jerk and was definitely your average stereotypical chauvinistic boss. But he also did promote good voting rights and civil rights legislation. Which was very good. But also, actually, no, I'm moving him down to C because he got this country into the Vietnam War, and that led to lots of violence in the '60s. was like after JFK's assassination, everything kind of fell apart, and then LBJ had to deal with it. Okay, Abraham Lincoln. I will be putting him. Okay, he's definitely not a C again. I'm just holding him there until I can scroll up. Uh, so I can say I will be putting him at an A. Uh because uh I'll say that he helped to keep this country together during the Civil War. He emancipated the slaves. Even if he weren't in favor with total equality, again, that's why he is at an A rather than an S. Uh, and then so yeah, that's what that is meant to be. Okay. So just a sec. This thing decided not to work for a second. Okay, here we go. So next I have Benjamin Harrison. Um, I'll put him at a D. Because well, he did upset the incumbent, which was Grover Cleveland. But on the other hand, he kind of messed up trying to handle like other federal jobs. That you got like many eager job seekers looking for. Okay, next we have James Madison. I'm let me just hold him here. I'm gonna pull him up. I would say he is a B because he helped fight this country during the War of 1812. And actually, Andrew Jackson, yes, I'll move him up to C because he did also defend our country successfully during the Battle of New Orleans during the War of 1812. But back to James Madison. So yeah, B because and also he was again also 2 terms right after uh, Thomas Jefferson. So yeah, he continued keeping things the best they could and keeping the peace and prosperous nation together. Okay, so next we have William McKinley. Uh, let me think. There's not much I know about this guy. I'm putting him at a C. He's average, I'll say. He was pretty good with like fighting during the wars, but yet he also probably didn't do much to prevent like anarchists from coming up, and he was killed by an anarchist himself, which was the fear of the early 1900s, late 1800s. So next we have James Monroe. So fun fact, he's gonna be a C. He himself actually was a pretty decent guy. He actually is one of the people in like that painting of George Washington crossing the Delaware River. He's the guy holding the flag. Fun fact. And then anyway, he did promote and then he also did promote the Monroe Doctrine, which kept slavery from going north of Missouri, I believe, or something. And then yeah, and then his precedent was followed until another guy came and kind of tipped the scales. Okay, so next we have Richard Nixon. Actually, I am putting him at a D because he did do good with trying to normalize relationships with China. Because again, reason why our relationships with China are so rocky now is because we don't normalize them. I mean, I know China is a bit of a dirty government, but yet, I mean, you still need to realize, like, look, you can't deal fire with fire. You have to deal fire with water. So you have to put out their sentiment and also make sure that you're not being the one being trampled. Okay, so Barack Obama. I'm definitely not a C, but again, I'm just scrolling up. I am putting him at an S, and there's no bias here. He did promote and strive for equality for all. Not everything with him was perfect, but he also left office with a pretty high approval rating. Not as high as Bill Clinton's, but also pretty high end. He's just viewed as like a positive figure among many people, especially since he doesn't like stay in politics like certain other former presidents and their families have. Uh, but yeah, and he's managed to keep and he's been a very good like I guess role model for people. And then so next we have George H.W. Bush. I'll say He is at a B. It's just the same rating as his son because George W. Bush is George W. Bush's dad. This guy served from 1989 to 1993, and then George W. Bush served from '01 to '09. So for George W. Bush, reason why I put him so high, is because he did do good defense against, I guess, Iraq and the Middle East, which actually made more sense than George W. Bush's invasion of Iraq in 2003. But but and good with Operation Desert Storm and Kuwait and everything. But also he did have an issue. He also did unfortunately have to raise taxes, which is why he isn't higher than this. No one likes high taxes. Except well, not even corporations. Corporations on taxes should be raised, but taxes on corporations should be raised. But yeah, for most people, no. As most middle class people like me, uh, so then yeah, he had to raise taxes because the federal deficit was going up from all the military spending, which is good, but yet it resulted in taxes being raised, which led to his three-way loss with Ross Perot and Bill Clinton. Okay, so now we have Franklin Pierce. He is going at an F, just like his successor James Buchanan, because he stoked division with the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which kind of abolished the Monroe Doctrine for the line of slavery and the Missouri Compromise. And so yeah, FDR. Again, he is not at a C. I'm just gonna scroll up. Okay, so he is at an A because he helped the economy rebound after New Deal. Not everything he did was perfect, like trying to pack the Supreme Court or anything, but he did do a good job at success, like keeping the government in shape and promoting like works progress administration, which has constructed a lot of like things we see today. And yeah, I mean he wasn't perfect. He had personal affairs, like he had an open marriage with his wife, and if you know what that means, and yeah. So next. Next we have this old fart, James Knox Polk, who was the 11th president of the United States. He is probably going to go to sea because he was good in the term that he said he would only in the way he said that he would only serve one term. But yet he also push, and he did push an expansion, which allowed more people in the country. But yet, at the same time, that pushed out Native Americans, which wasn't the best. Next, we have John Quincy Adams. He is going D, at a D because he he was a bit of an outsider himself, just like Jimmy Carter was, but again, can't really have outsiders in the government. I'm not saying you need to be totally corrupt in the government because people can be in the government and not be corrupt. It probably is possible, but yet he kind of aggravated Congress and didn't help really anything with helping the unity of this country. Ronald Reagan. Let me see. He's not going at a C. I don't think. I'm just scrolling up. Okay. Where is Ronald Reagan? Oh no, he's still down here. Dang it. He will be going at a B because he did advance conservative legislation, which is why it isn't higher because I'm a little more liberal in my thoughts. This is just mostly my political bias that comes in. But he also was very good at uniting the nation, keeping this nation together, and not having taxes be too high, even though supply side economics, aka where they cut taxes for corporations, so some of that benefit goes down to the poor and middle class, which I don't think really helped a whole lot, and that's kind of been more disproven. Even though people don't want to pay high taxes, I think you need to keep taxes low on more common folk like middle class, and maybe upper middle class, and then for people who are rich and stuff, you need to raise taxes on them. So Zachary Taylor, I will say, goes at a C because he didn't do much because only a year into his term he died because he supposedly ate tainted milk and cherries. Again, this might actually be more like the sewer at the White House might have been infected. But anyways, that's why he's in higher. But yet he also did threaten military action with trying to keep the country together with threats of there being a civil war. Again, that didn't happen until a couple presidents later, but you know what I mean. Okay, so Theodore Roosevelt is a C. Um, he did push racial progress and establish a national park system, but he wasn't perfect. He did kind of expand the federal government's interest in tariffs and stuff. By the way, I don't know what the heck those are. I just know that it's like a bit more government control that might be necessary. Uh, okay, so Trump. Okay, our most recent president to leave the White House. So, again, political bias. I'm gonna really try to misjudge this. He is going to be at a seat. So let's just start with the negatives. Just get on the way. Okay, he was super. He basically resumed the war on drugs. He separated families at the border. He instigated the death penalty more. And then among other things, positives. He did keep the economy going. And honestly, if COVID hadn't hit, or even with George Floyd, honestly, if COVID was his bane, so that's how he got voted out of office. But yeah, and then some other things like the economy was good. He did increase some opportunities for people of color. But also, he was pretty divisive and only really served the interests of the Republicans to a certain point. Harry Truman. I will say he was a C. Again, ratings of his presidency have definitely been increased to good over the time, but also he also did drop the atomic bombs on Japan, which had positive, negative. Positive ended the war finally, but negative it did kill hundreds of people. But at least well, it's always a controversial issue that will remain. And then he himself, and then also yeah, I mean he kind of led the nation into the Korean War, which is kind of what messed him up. And then people were a little tired of big government after FDR, so they didn't like him too much. Okay. Next we have John Tyler. Okay, he's going to be a C because he did come into office and I guess assume responsibility after the death of William Henry Harrison because there was really like no precedent for this. So he set the precedent to this until the 25th Amendment in the 60s, which established the formal presidential line of succession. So in case this happens, that happens. You know what I mean? But then he also was a segregationist and later actually ended up becoming a member of the Confederate Congress in the 1860s, but then he died. And so now we have Martin Van Buren. He's a C because he unfortunately continued a lot of the policies of his predecessor, and also he had economic issues, and so there ended up being like the first economic panic depression of the country. So George Washington. So wait. Okay. While I don't like this first mentality, I'm still putting in this like first person is the best mentality. He's still going in the superior category because he himself he helped keep our country together and he still and led it through its first 8 years. Well, I don't know when you could say our country was officially established because there's 1776, 1783, then passing the Constitution in 1787, so ratifying the Constitution. So yeah, but you can say he was the first president of the U.S. under the Constitution. And just really, a lot of honors. Okay, last one that's on here is Woodrow Wilson. I'm going to be putting him at a B because unfortunately he did promote racial segregation uh, he wasn't super fond of having women go to the ballot until like just his last year in office, under which he was partially incapacitated because he had suffered a stroke the previous year. And then but during the beginning of his, but he did help to promote I guess, world unity after World War One. Obviously, that didn't go so well, and that's what basically World War One unfortunately led to World War Two. Uh, so that's kind of unfortunately how that worked. And then yeah, so there's a lot of presidents in C. Some a good amount of them in B, three in A, two in S, a bunch in D, and wait, where did Buchanan end up? Just Buchanan needs to go back to where he came from. Not trying to be, like Trump there. He needs to go back to the correct category where I put him in. Okay, so we got 45 of the most recent presidents on here. Biden at this point, I will say he is at a B. He's been a little iffy on the immigration issue because it's kind of faltered back and forth in between. Do we promote? Do we show? Do we show uh do we show whether immigration is like do we call it do we shut the border? Do we do this or that? Do we stop border? You know what I mean. And then other things. And so yeah, and then he's been pretty good at trying to unite this nation, and then also do progressive policies, and try to hold corporations accountable. So that is all 46 presidents of the United States, and how this connects to Steam is that I'm doing this on a technology device. So there's where it's connection to Steam, and also I just love presidents in general. So thanks. Thank you so much for watching this week's video, and make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications so you don't miss any of my content. Thank you very much for watching this video, and see you in the next one.